What's going on, guys, and welcome to another episode of Smash JT. Google Stadia just announced the details for their streaming platform and all the prices, the breakdown, the games, everything you're going to be able to do with this thing and how amazing it is, and all I was left with was saying, who the hell is this thing for? Smash JT. Let me kick this off by saying that I was in front of the hype train for the Google Stadia initially, and while I don't want to say necessarily that I was wrong, because it's still too early to call it, I am definitely walking back a lot of the steps I took saying that this is the future of gaming. After Google revealed the Stadia pricing and what you're able to do with this thing, I was left with the feeling of, okay, but I can already do that on the systems that I have right now for far less of a cost. What is the buying proposition for this for consumers? And initially it looked like it was going to be convenience, how you could just load it up and play these games everywhere and anywhere on basically any device with a screen, as long as you had a Chromecast or a computer or a smart TV or any way to play it from the Google Cloud that you'd be able to do it. But as far as the convenience is concerned, I don't really see many people leaving their house to play video games. The more I think about this, the more I'm like, yeah, in theory, it's a great idea, but in reality, how many people are going to take advantage of being able to pause a game on the fly and then go somewhere else and pick it up where they left off? I can imagine a few circumstances, but the overwhelming majority of times that I'm playing a game, I'm either sitting on my couch or taking my Nintendo Switch on the road with me. I don't have a need for this. So maybe I'm not the target audience, and that's just fine. But who is the target audience? Gamers? Gamers already have consoles, so it couldn't be for them. The only people left that would be interested in the Google Stadia would be people that really aren't gamers or haven't gotten into gaming yet, and this would be their first leap into it. But the buying proposition for it, everything surrounding it, it just doesn't make sense to make that jump. After the Stadia Connect completed, I was left with the feeling of, okay, I don't understand though. These games, they're not unique to the platform. They're not exclusive games, although they did unveil Baldur's Gate 3 and said that that was an exclusive unveiling. And the wording was very weird around that because it doesn't make it sound like it's exclusive for the Stadia. Maybe they're getting it first or having it for the first few months, but everything surrounding all the games that they talked about in this event didn't really leave you with a sense of, oh my god, I gotta go get the Stadia and pay for an account and get this all set up just so I can play the games that I already have available on the consoles in my house already. The marketing was tremendously confusing. It kind of reminded me of the Wii U and how Nintendo marketed that, where people thought the Wii U was like a Super Wii. It was just an HDMI for the Wii, when it in fact was a completely different system, and most of the general public really didn't grasp that idea. That's kind of the road I see Google Stadia going down right now, where most of the general public, myself included, don't really understand what this is even for, who the target audience is, and why the buying proposition is such that people should just pour money into it. For digital goods, digital games, a monthly subscription. Yep, like we need another one of those, first off. But honestly, when we think about this, taking a step back from it, you don't own any of the games. You don't own any of this. You're basically just pouring money into a fire and playing the games, and then when you're done playing them and the time is up, you don't have any money, you don't have any games, you're left with nothing. And that right there is the most concerning part of an all-digital future. As far as what they talked about, they gave out the Stadia Founders Edition information, where it comes with a Chromecast Ultra, a limited edition Founders Controller, 3 months of Stadia, plus 3 months of a Buddy Pass that you can give to a friend, and that in itself, okay, it was $129, comes with the complete Destiny 2 experience, including all of the DLC for Destiny 2, but that goes right back into the point of, why would you invest all this money, all this time, all these resources into playing a game specifically for the platform that is the Google Cloud known as Stadia, when you can play Destiny 2 on basically any console that's not named Nintendo right now and have it for pretty cheap actually. The game's been on sale, I've seen it for under 20 bucks, and buy the DLC and have it for good and own it forever. why would you pour money into a service and when that service time is up, you don't have the game anymore? That's very concerning, especially when you consider it's going to be $10 a month after this 3-month trial period is over with. You're going to be dropping $120 every year on a service that doesn't provide you a guarantee of games in the future. And that brings up another concerning thing. For the Stadia Pro members, when they spend $10 a month, they said they're going to continually be adding games to that service, which is great. But they didn't talk about that crazy thing that if games are being added, what happens to the other games? Are they gonna always be there? Will they be going away? This is the problem with licensing issues on digital goods. When you don't own the item, it can come and go as long as the license is not there. And that's concerning, especially when you compare it to a service like, we'll say Netflix, where you can get movies and those are rotating all the time. But movies are different, where you can sit down and experience the movie all in one sitting and enjoy it and move on from it. You don't really care if it's gone the next month, or if you had it pegged to watch and it disappears, you kind of like, meh. But with video games, it's very different because that takes time. It's an experience over the course of months, not just a few hours sitting down, but weeks at a time, months, sometimes years if you invest yourself in a game. And there's no guarantee of it being there. Google did not discuss that topic, which was extremely concerning. As far as digital goods are concerned, this is exactly why the all-digital future will not work with video games until they get licenses figured out. Until they're able to say, forever, these games, once they're on the service, will always be there as long as you're paying that monthly fee. And until a company can do that, it's something that I'm not interested in, because if I'm going to get invested in a game and then it gets taken off the service, I'm going to be pissed about it. There is a free version of the service where you can purchase games individually, but they did not talk about how much each individual game would cost. If it's going to be just like a digital storefront, full price MSRP like everywhere else, or if they're going to be discounted because it's on the Google Stadia service exclusively, or how they're going to go about that. With the Stadia Pro membership, they said that you'll be able to get the 35 megabytes per second to get the HDR 4K resolution, but that in itself brings in a whole nother bunch of questions with what your internet speed is. How much money are you spending a month per internet? Is a better internet speed even available where you live? Tons of concerns surrounding that. You're spending $10 a month and you might not even be able to reap the benefits of it because you don't have a good internet connection. That was always a concern, but when they started explaining it in this video, I was kind of like, ooh, yeah, that's not good. If you're making me have a 35 megabit per second connection to play a game streaming in 4K. If it's anything less than that, it's going to start dipping in frame rates, it's going to start dipping in quality, and it's not going to be an overall quality experience. Where you compare it to an actual physical game or something you have downloaded to your system, it will always be a high quality experience, especially with the PS5 and the next Xbox. They're going to have crazy computing power to be able to do those on the fly in front of you. You don't care about a cloud. So that buying proposition really didn't sell me on wanting it anymore. And the worst part about it is they're saying you have to spend money to have the ability to stream it at that quality. If you're one of the free members of it, you don't get those benefits. Doesn't matter what your internet connection is, which was kind of strange how they separated the two. Ultimately, I was left with the feeling of it's not for gamers, it's not for non-gamers, it's not for anybody that was interested in playing games. It's a very weird buying proposition. I don't know who this is for. Maybe in some random countries where consoles are like super expensive and they have really good access to internet, it might make sense. But in America, the way that this is being presented to people, it's not really something that I'm very interested in. And I'm shocked at that. I would have thought Google, with their infinite amount of money, being the biggest company basically ever, would have put some money into buying some game companies, would have put some money into creating their own game companies from scratch and making amazing experiences for the gamers exclusively on their platform so that people would come to it, migrate to Google Stadia and make it their console or platform of choice to play games. Look at Nintendo. The only reason people play Nintendo games and buy Nintendo consoles is because Nintendo makes spectacular experiences time after time after time. Look at Sony making great first-party titles. Xbox even. Microsoft, well, at least if you consider PC as well. Maybe not as many, but they're still doing it, and they're buying even more studios as time goes on. Whereas Google is just like, here's a bunch of third-party devs. They lose nothing by putting their games on our service, and we're basically just charging and fleecing the consumers to be able to have the right to play these games. It's a joke. It's something that I don't think is going to be successful with the approach that Google has taken. It's a very anti-consumer approach. It's a very pro-business, pro-company. They have no reason to say no to putting games on this platform. But as far as the customer is concerned, yeah, there's a lot of reasons not to be giving your money to Google for the Stadia as it stands right now. Could it change in the future? Of course it could. But I'm just surprised that Google took this approach of sticking their head out of the ground saying, hey guys, we got a platform with some games on it. Why don't you come play it on ours? Why would you not dive head on into this? Put time and resources and effort into not just the platform, but exclusivity in games that you can't get anywhere else. An experience that you would find only on Google Stadia. Without that, there is no reason outside of that. It's portable. You can play it anywhere on any device. Great. But I don't go anywhere to play my games. I sit at my couch and play them. I take my Switch out when I'm playing on the go. I don't need anything more than that. I had been hoping for the integration through YouTube as one of the major benefits to the Stadia, but as it stands right now, if nobody's going to be buying this thing, if it's not going to be worth their money or time to purchase their games, and there are other ways to play games with people through YouTube anyways, it just seems like it's a complete fail right now. Like I said, they could turn it around if they start getting some exclusives, but as it stands right now, I have no idea who they're marketing this towards. I have no idea what the buying proposition is and who the customers they have in mind are for it. So as it stands, yeah, Google Stadia, it's got a ways to go before this thing is going to be successful. Anyways, that's how I feel about the situation, but I'd be very interested to hear what you think about Google Stadia, the buying proposition, if you're interested in buying this, if you think it's a ridiculous proposition in the first place, or if you're somewhere in the middle and you're kind of waiting this one out. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, you stay smashing. They're not fucking exclusive. There we go. Smash,